Hey, it's Loser. Today I'll tell you a really creepy story. Don't go anywhere now. You're gonna really enjoy this, trust me. Dylan had turned just 21 years of age. He and his friend, they decided to go to the bar. Now his friend had already been drinking on the way to the bar, so when they arrived, he was somewhat drunk already. They sit down and start ordering drinks. After 10 to 15 minutes, they've been just talking and drinking. A young girl approaches them and starts talking to Dylan as well as his friend. One detail that stood out to Dylan was that the girl had very bright red hair. He wasn't sure whether she was dyeing it or it was natural, but it just seemed a bit odd. It was quite popping and you could immediately tell her apart from everybody else in the bar. And because it seemed somewhat unnatural, Dylan thought about touching it, but of course he didn't. She said that her name was Stacy, and she seemed to be flirting with both Dylan and his friend. It was kind of confusing because Dylan wasn't sure if she was hitting on him or his friend because she seemed interested in both of them almost. Now, as mentioned before, Dylan's friend was already somewhat drunk, and after drinking in the bar, he got even more drunk. Dylan, he had just turned 21 and he wasn't really into drinking, but he was enjoying the taste of it. So he wasn't really drunk yet. He didn't drink too much. And he decided to pretend as though he was drunk because he was thinking to himself, this girl seems to be very interested in us, but especially in his friend who was already drunk. So he played like he was also drunk so that the girl wouldn't be thrown off. So they talk to each other, they're almost flirting both ways, and Dylan is pretending to be drunk. At the same time, Dylan is starting to wonder why this very beautiful girl is interested in them. It doesn't really make sense to him, so he thought that she might have actually been trying to get free drinks. And he tells her, just so you know, we don't really have any money and we can't buy you drinks. Stacy smiles at this and says, don't worry. And she starts buying them drinks. Dylan, surprised by this, doesn't mind. They get free drinks and get to talk to a very beautiful girl. Now, Dylan's friend, he gets up and he goes to the bathroom. And he doesn't come back. They realize soon that he was kicked out by the bouncer. He was super drunk at that point. So Stacy goes out to his friend and Dylan follows her. Stacy is insisting Dylan's friend go with her, basically constantly asking, just come to my house, we can continue drinking, we can hang out. And Dylan then understands that she's into his friend. But because he's so drunk, Dylan feels responsible for his friend, and he tells Stacy, there's no way I'm letting my friend come with you. He tells her that he doesn't want his friend waking up at a random house hungover, not knowing what happened or how he even got there. Stacy, though, she kept pushing. She's saying, I'll take care of him, don't worry, I'll give him orange juice in the morning. Dylan says, no, there's no way, I'm not letting this happen. If he's gonna come with you, I'm gonna come with him, as to protect him or making sure that he's all right. And then basically afterwards he'd come back home. And then suddenly Stacy stops flirting with Dylan's very drunk friend and shifts her attention towards Dylan. She says, you know what, you're right, he's too drunk. How about you? Want to come back to my place? She even offers to pay for a taxi to drive Dylan's friend back home. Dylan had only a couple of drinks and he feels buzzed out. In that moment, he doesn't really think that it's too good to be true. He's thinking, wow, I'm gonna get laid. And he agrees. So they send Dylan's friend back home with a taxi and walk back to Stacy's car. On the way to the car, he stumbles for a moment and Stacy makes this odd comment, wow, you're pretty drunk, huh? And Dylan explains to her that he's a little bit drunk, but not too much. When Dylan got into her car, he felt somewhat shy and even uneasy. It felt as though everything was happening too fast, And it didn't make sense in his mind. He's thinking, why is this so easy? But the alcohol was helping. He was feeling a bit relaxed, and he tried not to worry too much. Stacy starts driving back home, and she offers him to go to a liquor store and buy some more alcohol. She even says that she's gonna be paying for it, so he shouldn't be worried. Dylan is surprised at this. He doesn't really want to continue drinking because he wants to keep his mind and his thoughts alive as things are happening, but he doesn't say no. He doesn't want to throw her off because she seemed so excited at the thought of having more drinks. Even though Dylan tells Stacy that he's already quite drunk, that he didn't really want to drink anymore, but if she really wanted, they could get some alcohol. Stacy just insists. She says, yeah, you're already drunk, but that's fine. We'll get drunk together. We'll get more drunk together. And then they stop at a liquor shop. Dylan then just agrees with her because he doesn't really want to seem lame. And he tells her to buy him some apple juice as well. When Stacy goes into the liquor shop and then comes back out, he realizes she has like 2 bags of alcohol and then 1 box of apple juice too. She gets in the car and Dylan is thinking to himself, well, she must be willing to drink too because there's no way I can finish all that alcohol by myself. And they start drinking. They start passing the bottle from hand to hand. And Dylan notices that Stacy is only taking very little sips. She almost doesn't drink at all. She just pretends to put the bottle on her lips and then just passes it back to Dylan because Dylan can tell nothing has changed. She didn't drink anything. She's not even swallowing. She's pretending to drink. Now, Dylan at that point had finished his apple juice because he felt the need for some basically sugary drink. He doesn't really want to get any more drunk. So what he does is he's drinking some alcohol and then he's pretending to grab the apple juice box and pretending to drink from it. But when he lowers it back down, he pours the alcohol back into the empty apple juice box without Stacy noticing. And he continues to do that because Stacy is insisting him to drink. She's like, you aren't even halfway finished with the bottle and I have so much more. Come on, just drink up. So he feels like he has to drink up, but he doesn't want to drink, so he pours it back into the apple juice box. So they're about to arrive at Stacy's house. Stacy tells him that this is me right there, and he throws the apple juice box that's filled with liquor out the window before she can notice. At this point, the bottle is basically empty, and Dylan hadn't really drank all that much from it, so he pretends to be a lot more drunk than he actually is, and he doesn't want Stacy to notice this. So he calls her name wrong on purpose. He keeps calling her Carla. And Stacy doesn't correct him. She doesn't even acknowledge him saying her name wrong. She's just focused on driving home. As she's backing in the driveway, she almost doesn't even look at Dylan at that point. For whatever reason, Dylan has this feeling that Stacy was also not her real name. In that moment, he just was thinking, what if her name wasn't even Stacy? Who is this person? She was suddenly a stranger. But she was still a beautiful stranger. So as he gets out of the car, he pretends to trip and fall. Now Stacy just rushes there and immediately grabs him from his arm and helps him get up. Dylan still is pretending to be insanely drunk. They walk into the house and Stacy immediately just locks the front door. Dylan at first is surprised at this, but he's thinking to himself she doesn't want anybody walking in on them. And then he tells her that he needs to use the bathroom. At that point, when he walks into the bathroom and looks in the mirror, he realized that even though he was pretending to be much more drunk than he actually was, he felt he was drunk. On the way home, when he was pretending to drink from the bottle, he had to also drink a little bit of the alcohol. And that little bit had actually contributed in him being a lot more drunk than he actually wanted. So what he does is he turns on the tap water, and with the sound, he's trying to make himself puke. He just puts 2 of his fingers into the back of his throat, and he makes himself puke some of the liquor that he had just 10 minutes ago drank out, and he washes it away immediately. He then continues to drink some of the tap water to sober up a little bit, and once again looks in the mirror to see if he actually feels better. Puking out the liquor and drinking some of the water had helped him, but he knew that he still had to act drunk, or a lot more drunk than he was, if he really wanted to hook up with Stacy. As he turns off the sink, he hears whispering from outside the door. He's drunk as hell. He can barely stand up. You do it. Dylan was like, dude, what? Who is she talking to? What's going on? He walks out of the bathroom into the living room, and then he sees Stacy with the corner of his eye walking into another room. Now, what he saw when she was walking into this other room was not her face. It was just this bright red hair. The living room was very dimly lit. He had difficulty making it out, but he was sure it was Stacy. And as she was walking to that room, he yelled from behind her in a very slurred voice, "Hey, where are you going?" pretending still to be very drunk. And then Stacy, she walks back from that room, and since it's quite dark, he can't really make out her face very well. But Stacy whispers to him, "Let's go to my room." Dylan looks at her bright hair once more, and he kind of touches it. And as he's touching it, he feels that it doesn't feel like real hair. It feels somewhat clumsy. And then when he looks a lot more closer to her, when his eyes adjust to the darkness and he sees the eye staring back at him, he realizes the person that's standing in front of him, it's not Stacy. It was someone else. The red, bright hair that he was now touching slowly, it wasn't real hair. It was a wig. And for some reason, the girl in front of him was a different girl with the same wig on. Once he realized this, his heart felt like it stopped. He didn't know what to do for a moment. And then he tells her that he needed to use the bathroom just one more time, and he was so sorry that he was this drunk. Now the girl, a little bit annoyed, tells him, "Okay, whatever, just hurry up in there." So he starts walking slowly and clumsily to the bathroom, pretending to be drunk. He locks the door, and at the same time, he once again can hear whispers from outside the bathroom. But this time, it's not just girl whispering. He can make out a male voice. Dylan wasn't sure if the voice he heard was really a male voice or he had just made it up in his mind. And he was too excited and his heart was beating too hard in that moment to actually focus on what they were saying out there. Let's take a glimpse of the mind of Dylan in that moment, standing in the bathroom, hearing whispers from outside the door. What's going on? What is going on? Who was that? That wasn't Stacy, right? What are they gonna do to me? Oh my god. Why did I come here? What was I thinking? That's a complete stranger. Why did she lock the door? Oh my god, the front door is locked. Could I leave? Is there a key on it? I don't know. I have to do something. I can't leave this bathroom, no. I must do something. I've got to get out of here. They're gonna do something to me. I don't know what, but they're gonna do something. I need to get out. Come on, Dylan, come on. Think. Of course. Yes. I could squeeze through that opening and run from the back. He wasn't able to focus on what they were saying, as his mind and his heart was racing. He looked up and he saw the bathroom window. It was small, but big enough for him to squeeze through. So he jumps out of the bathroom window and starts running for his life through the backyard, when suddenly his foot, he can't control it and he just falls down because of the alcohol effect. He still hasn't gotten his mind together. and then he can hear a scream. From behind him, somebody yells out he's getting away. Immediately, he gets up. He doesn't even look back because that's how afraid he is, and he continues to run, realizing his body is all right and he's still healthy. He runs through the backyard, jumps from a fence, and then runs from somebody else's backyard. At that point, it's very late, and there are almost no cars to be seen. But he hears the motors running from behind the street. A car is approaching to where he was literally standing. Immediately, he realizes that they might have actually gotten out of the house into the car to chase him down, and he continues to run down the road until he's able to find a 24-hour open convenience store. He gets inside, and standing straight in front of the cash register, he tells the man what had happened, that he needed a taxi cab. He looks straight into the camera to make sure that people knew, or there was a footage of him, of where he was. A few minutes later, his cab arrives. He gets in and gets back home. And he doesn't see any suspicious cars around, so he's thinking to himself that he wasn't chased down by whomever was in that house, or Stacy and her friends. And the next day, Dylan goes back to the location of the house with a few friends of his. When he arrives at the house, he realizes it's completely empty. Nobody was there. He then does some digging and finds out it's a summer rental. And it hadn't been rented in the past few weeks, which meant that whomever those people were, they had broken into the house. He didn't know who they were, what they were gonna do, or what they were planning to do with him or his friend initially. The only thing he was thankful for was that he didn't get too drunk, and that he decided to throw up the liquor that was inside him that would have very likely contributed in his drunkenness. If he had been a little bit more drunk, he might have actually not realized the switch and not been able to tell this story. And that marks the end of our story for today. I hope you did enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe and leave a like so that our channel can grow and I can continue making these videos. If you have similar stories or other creepy or eerie stories, maybe true crime stories, let me know in the comments. I'll try to research it and then bring it to you. I hope you do enjoy these story formats. I will hopefully bring other types of horror or scary content as well. Maybe even some creepypasta if you're into that. Let me know. I'll work on it. I'm always trying to improve. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. Stay safe. Oh wait, I forgot that there is a ukulele song at the end of this video. Enjoy that one too. And stay safe and stay eerie. Tried to walk home last night, really thought I'd be fine, but then a sudden thump behind. Wait, is that an alien? What was that sound I heard? Jane, please stop fooling around. What do you mean wash the dishes? Do you realize what time it is? I'm getting the creeps again. Look at these goosebumps on my skin. If I'm not back by 8, the delivery guy probably did it. Now I must fade in the dark, get away from everyone. Oh Jane, I'm so afraid. I'm begging you to stay. Is someone watching me as I'm wide asleep? Getting those goosebumps again. Wait, am I peeing? I'm so scared that I'm peeing.